Today, we're going to have our last lesson in the first module, matrix algebra. And the content of this lesson is derived from an article adapted from the article written by Drs. Kurt Bryan and Tanya Lees. I found the article in the Lesson9 review. The outline. First, I want to introduce a little background, then understand the application. And we'll see how the search engine works, and then define how to rank the web page. And then we'll discuss some special issues, such as disconnected subverbs and the dangling nodes. Now let's think why the web ranking is so important. Now assume you put your keywords. You want to find some page. And then typically it comes out 30 pages or sometimes 50 pages of the links. Nobody have the patience to run through all the 30 or 50 pages. We probably will scan the first page. A few people maybe goes to the third page. That's it. Unless the search engine present this content you want in the first couple of pages, you even find it, you're going to miss that page. So that explains why the ranking is so important. Of course, the high-ranked pages is going to present first. So in common sense, we want to present those important pages first. Such a web page like CNN News, Yahoo, Amazon, give a few examples. But I will not present my home page or the home page of my student chapter Lesson9 into the first couple of pages, unless these are the only choices. So not only this page ranking affect the performance of the searching, it also due to the prominence of Google search engine. And this search engine also now influence how you're going to develop your website and how do you design the structure of the internet. And also it helps you to understand what kind of information will put first and what kind of information is going to be searched more frequently. So understand how the page ranking system works. It will help us to develop better websites as an immediate application. First, let's look at how does the web search engine work. Just look at the procedure from the nutshell. First, the search engine will crawl the web and locate all the web pages with public accesses. This could be done offline, behind the scene. And then they will index those data from the first step. So also keep those keywords, summarize the keywords for the purpose of searching. And the third step, which is the most important step, make Google different from other search engines in the early time. It rates the importance of each page on the database. And so when the user search for the engine, it will present the most important page first. So now let's see how we're going to define these very subtle words, the importance. And the rank, the relative importance, is the critical innovation in this whole lesson. Well, before we go to the quantitative criteria, and we would think about the qualitative criteria that conform to our common sense. So a typical way to do that is to brainstorm all the factors that impact the relative importance. So after we list all the facts, we might put some weight function and then define a scoring function to quantify the factors in the list of criteria, or say benchmarks. So after you put all this quantified factor together, you're going to specify the domain of those factors. The best way is to start from a very simple example. We scale down the internet into 4 pages, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the diagram here is called a directed graph. From this directed graph, let's just brainstorm to see what you think, which page among the 4 is the most important page by using your common sense. So which one will be the second and the third? So let's do it and to see what is our guess or conclusion. First, let's identify those directions. If I put an arrow from the page 1 to page 2, that means the website 1 linked the website 2. And when we talk about a page 2, then we have a backlink from the page 1. We call it a backlink. So that's why the direction goes from the page 1 to page 2. Intuitively, if there's more website point towards my website, that makes my website more important. In other words, if my website has more backlinks, that will boost the relative importance of my website. That's a common sense. So our first option, how about let's count who has most backlinks, and then we say that page is the most important page. So let's count. In our first option, we can count the page 1 has 1, 2, let me just get a pen to count. We have 1 backlink, 2 backlinks. That's page 1. Let me call it X1, have 2 backlinks. The second page have 1 backlink. That's it. The second page only have 1. The third page will have 1, 2, and 3. And the fourth page have 1 and 2. So according to this scheme, the ranking will be the page 3 is the most important because it has 3 backlinks. And the page 2 is the least it only has one link, backlink. And the page 1 and the page 4 tied to the second place. Both have 2 links. So does it make sense? We said that we needed to conform to the common sense. Well, then you just think about it. If that's how we ranking the pages, then I'm going to go home, write another website, and send a lot of links to myself. And then some company maybe just say charge a few dimes. They send you a link and they make you very important because it's very cheap to make a link. The obvious shortcoming for this operation is what? It's really forget the relative importance of the reference. So if you think, just think about the right reference letters. It's not depends how many reference letters you have for you to find the best job. In most of the time, it's who give you the reference letter. It make a whole difference. For example, if I apply for promotion, I can get the prominent scientist to write me a letter, say this guy is the great scientist, should be promoted. It's very different from if I get 20 students or other colleagues to write a letter. So the obvious shortcoming of this option is forget the relative importance of the referee, and the only count that probably won't be a good solution. So let's look at some other options. So let me summarize. The problem of the first option, just count the vote, like a democratic system. There's a little problem. This problem is ignores the important feature that the link from page K to page K from an important page should boost the K more than a link from a less important page. That's the problem. Or I'll give you another example. If I get a link from Google, a backlink from Google to my page, that link itself worth all the money for me to open another company, because so many people goes to the Google just by accident. They browsed my page. I got a lot of visitors. So that was significant to boost my website. I probably will get thousands of visitors at least every day. So if I get a link from another guy, maybe my colleague or students, that help, but not much at all. I still probably stay the same rank.